The Neoplatonic world didn't stray too far from its Pythagorean antecedent. It was separated into a number of interconnected spheres, with the highest one composed of absolute ether, or spirit, and the lowest of absolute matter. At the uppermost echelon of this multidimensional ladder lay the empyrean of the One, or God, the primary substance or etheric fire that made itself known in the mystical experience of apathanatismos. It was the primeval origin of the anima mundi, the world soul, the intangible electricity which infused created nature with variant degrees of life and sentience. Directly below that was the primum mobile, the etheric substance which permeated the heavens and facilitated the rotation of the zodiac, and the sphere of the fixed stars around the mooring post of the north celestial pole. Then came, in descending, or Ptolemaic, or geocentric order, the spheres of Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, as well as the Aristotelian elements of fire, earth, wind, and water, which formed unique combinations and eventually manifested the mineral, plant, and animal kingdoms. While forming the seven shop stop, whereby soul sparks picked up their rudimentary character traits, the planetary spheres themselves also consisted of qualities like hot, cold, dry, and moist, as well as sweet, sour, soft, and hard. These were all virtues which had been infused into physical matter, or the corpus mundi, which is the world soul, the world body, by the spiritus mundi, the world spirit, thus enabling a manifestation of one created kingdom to seek its like or counterpart in another kingdom. Plato reasoned that the individual spheres of the dimensional ladder could be grouped into three distinct clusters, and that all three are comprehensible to like-natured entities. Hence, the human body is sentient of material forms, the human soul is conscious of the psychic world of emotions and feelings, and the human intellect is able to grasp the Platonic forms. From this perspective, the geocentric and humanistic rendition of creation becomes much more credible. Even though human beings suffered the misfortune of coming last in the creational order of things, their threefold recognition of reality makes them miniature replicas of the whole and allows them to rise to the top of the cosmic totem pole. Hence, what was created last from the detritus of matter is now first, entirely receptive and in tune to the zodiacal and planetary energies which mediate their anatomy from the heavens above. No longer a slave to the mechanical laws of inert matter, human beings were in a position to understand the underlying unity of all things in the One, and how created nature might be manipulated. If one looked close enough, he or she would realize that there was something connecting inert forms to the creative daemons, the human soul to the starry firmament, the set qualities of matter to the anima mundi, the world soul, and the primeval chaos. That something is cosmic sympathy, an all-encompassing virtue that might be defined as an immeasurable and invisible magnetic force that manifests as an external similarity of sorts between two inert or animate bodies. According to the legendary Renaissance alchemist Paracelsus of Hohenheim, every stone, gem, metal, plant, tree, and star possessed an outward signature that formed part of the greater nervous system of Mother Nature. Correct interpretation of the natural hieroglyph revealed the occult virtue or inner essence of the object in question and allowed the knower, usually a practitioner of natural magic, to manipulate its sympathetic equivalents in the other kingdoms. Knowing the sympathetic connections was, for most practitioners of magic, an entirely intuitive affair. Let's take a brief look at objects that fall under the rulership of the moon, the sphere of the great mother goddess, and see how their qualities might be connected. The owl, for instance, is associated with the moon because its phases affect the animal's visual signaling habits. So too are women, seeing that their menstrual cycles are supposed to be regulated by the lunar phases. This may be a core reason why the moon has always been believed to encompass a wholly feminine spirit. Silver, on the other hand, is a primary metal the Ephesians used in creating statues and images of the Great Mother in her guise of Artemis, a huntress equipped with bow and arrows. No doubt the people of Ephesus would have known that it is connected to the moon for a great many reasons. It receives light passively, mimicking its celestial counterpart, which shines only by reflecting solar rays. Ample amounts of silver can be found in the oceans and seas, dominions which have been controlled by the moon for time immemorial. Silver ions have antibacterial and other therapeutic properties and keep water fresh, a scientifically verifiable fact which reinforces the portrayal of the Great Mother as a universal healer. Water, of course, is connected to the moon because of the tides exerted by the lunar satellite. According to the intellectually rebellious scholars like Jacques Benaviste, The molecular structure of water has a memory of sorts, as does silver, which forms an elementary component in photography and the creation of mirrors, the former a method whereby images of the past are preserved, and the latter forming and light reflecting an image of the present. Memories past and present, as well as dreams which come under the romantic skies of a moonlit night, are inexplicably linked with the sphere of fantasy and imagination, the ethereal realm in which poets and writers dabble in excessively. Let's not forget that the great Mother Goddess is a patroness of poets and writers, and that a great many of them, too many, I think, for the phenomenon to be purely coincidental, are born under her astrological sign, Cancer the Crab. Each of the 7 planetary spheres, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, assert rulership over particular bodies in the mineral, plant, and animal kingdoms, and understanding these laws of correspondence and their subtle energies is vital to both shamanic and magical practice, both of which attempt to generalize quasi-material change in the corporeal world by intentionally manipulating sympathetically aligned entities. They were laws that stood at the heart of an objective reality described by mystical insight, a mighty vision which we, as self-proclaimed inheritors of the classical world, appear to have lost or stumbled over in our endless search for the truth. I will conclude today's post with a poem which attempts to make logical sense of the conspiracy theories that emerged as a consequence of the tragic events of September 11, 2001, and dutifully dismissed them as products of overtly active imaginations. The philosophical overtones have been inspired by the myth of Plato's cave. Out of the darkness and into the light. And before I read it, it's actually been published in Sensations Magazine, issue 45, 21st Century America, which is this over here. There was once a wise man who lived near Twin Towers, and hence found plenty of ruminating time to acquire a grasp of logical sense. He thought the events of 9/11 unravelled a rendition of the fall, in which Americans were prison mates forced to sit and stare at a wall. Behind it, 9 conspiracy theories kept the shining truth at bay, amusing the ignorant with cutouts to give the illusion of foul play. Absorbed in quitoxic falsehoods with all their friends in tow, truthers won't budge from their seats since it's all that they know. But every so often one might jerk his leg and spin right around, realizing that the jail's just a front and his mind's now unbound. Feeling his way through the dark, he discovers stairs that lead up to the earth, to a version of 9/11 far simpler than the sum of lives lost might be worth. Gaping in awe, he casts a glance at the shadow place's original form, a matrix of towers, planes, pentagons, Al-Qaeda, and a terror-like storm. The wise men hark back to the jail, overcome by joy and grief, an infusion, spurred by empathy towards ignorance and the will to dispel their illusion. He re-enters to enlighten and teach, but most prefer to keep him at bay. They cringe at the thought that somebody could ever know better than they. Failing to perceive the misinformation through which 9/11 myths stem, truthers may forever be doomed to wander in the dark which surrounds them. And with that, I will see you next time.